I'd like to welcome all of you to the 54th Alle-Kiski Valley Sports Hall of Fame Induction Banquet. We will be honoring 8 new inductees this evening, plus 2 teams. All span several generations, and they are indicative of the great sports tradition we have here in our area. At the end of the banquet, we will have 408 individual members and 4 teams in our Hall of Fame. We'll also be meeting 7 fine student athletes from our area, plus a Courage Award winner and a state championship hockey team. And for now, those of you who are able, would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And now let me introduce the chairman of the Hall of Fame. Here is Larry Lutz.
Thank you all so much for coming. Your attendance is very, very important to us, and we really appreciate it, as does the fine slate of inductees that we have this evening. It's going to be a great night, and we're really looking forward to a wonderful celebration. I'm also in charge of the blessing before dinner, so if you could all bow your heads. As we all drove in here today, I hope we noticed what a beautiful place we live in. You drive down through the Alle-Kiski Valley on this beautiful day, and you see the surroundings. And then if we look around at all the people who are here today, and all the fine people, and we're so blessed to be here. We also owe so much to the people who made all of this possible. Not just for this banquet, but the people who made it such a wonderful place to live, work, and play. And we're all so privileged to be at a banquet where we're honoring people playing sports. What a wonderful thing it is to have that privilege of participating in sports in our lifetimes because of what so many people did before us to make all of this possible and make it such a wonderful time and place for all of us present here today to live, work, and play. So please, let's ask the Lord to continue to bestow blessings upon us, to bless the food that we are about to eat, and bless our wonderful night of celebration, and give Him thanks. Amen.
And anybody that's been around Highlands High School at any time over about a 30-year period knew or ran into Eddie Tiorsky, one of the most fun people that I know that I ever met. And just a grand person to meet. He passed away recently, and we wanted to give him the annual Courage Award. So to talk about Eddie a little bit, someone who really became like a brother to him over the years, I'd like to introduce to you Chad Gorley to talk a little bit about our Courage Award winner, the late Eddie Tiorsky. Chad?
Thank you. I kind of got put on the spot about talking. I had thought if I was going to talk, I could sit up here and I could talk about Eddie for days. I mean, I've known him since I was a little boy. We, him and my father, we kind of had a thing. We were blood brothers. So Eddie's not related to me in any way, but he is my brother, and I dearly miss him. So he used to call himself BB0, Blood Brother Zero. My dad was BB1 and I was BB2. So I'm honored to accept this award. I'm not going to sit here and talk too much about Eddie, but if anyone knew Eddie, you know how much of a special person he was. It didn't matter how bad of a day you had. You could have the worst day in the world, and if you were with Eddie, he would make it nothing else mattered, because Eddie would light up a room. So one kind of fun fact I wanted to mention, and no one knows this, and he's not even recognized for this. I happen to just, obviously use the Google button on the internet machine, but Eddie is the 8th oldest living Down syndrome person in the history of the world. So that speaks to something for what kind of person he was. He didn't, if you were to talk to Eddie, he didn't have Down syndrome. He knew he did, but he said, no, I don't. He was treated and felt like he was one of the guys. And his mom used to always tell my family that that's why Eddie's living as long as he has, because he's one of the guys. And when he was born, the doctors told his mother and father that he'll never walk or talk. And those of you who know Eddie, he was just shy of a genius. So just a special guy. He was a groomsman in my wedding. We had 350 people at our wedding, and Eddie went up in front of everyone, took the mic from the DJ, and gave a speech. So he was not shy. My kids know him as Uncle Eddie. Everyone asked, like, what's your relationship? They saw the article in the paper, and I said, he's my brother, and he's my kid's uncle. So I just, like I said, thank you for giving this award to Eddie, and I'm honored to accept it on his behalf. So thank you.
Thank you again, Chad. We have with us, as I mentioned in the introduction, some fine local athletes. One that could not be with us tonight, the Valley News-Dispatch Offensive Football Player of the Year, Jaden Floyd from Leechburg. Jaden, in the 117-year history of the WPIAL, was only one of 3 quarterbacks to both rush and pass for over 1,000 yards in back-to-back seasons. Tonight, Jaden is spending his time at Weber International University in Florida, where he'll be attending school in the fall. Just to give you an example, this past year he had 1,477 yards passing and 10 touchdowns, and 1,267 yards rushing with 28 touchdowns scored. Leechburg played, 11 games, so that's almost averaging a touchdown and a half a game. We do have with us tonight, and we're very pleased to introduce to you Sean Sellinger from Freeport High School. Sean, the Defensive Player of the Year for the Valley News-Dispatch in 2024. He amassed 131 tackles this past season. He's a member of the Blue and Gold All-Academic Team, 2024 First Team All-Conference linebacker and tight end, 4-year letterman in football, 2-year letterman in basketball. His hobbies include working out, fishing, hanging with friends. He belonged to Key Club for 2 years and volunteers for youth football and basketball camps. And he plans on attending Washington and Jefferson College to play football and major in business. From Freeport High School, Sean Sellinger. And our first inductee this evening. You know, if you've coached for about a half century, you are able to touch a lot of lives and build a lot of relationships with people. And Don Frederick is an example of that, an all-state tackle at New Kensington High School, which is popularly and lovingly known as Ken High, for those of you old enough to remember the institution. He played college football for South Carolina and for Cal State, and he spent 46 years as an assistant coach here in the AK Valley. So let's welcome our first inductee of the evening, Don Frederick.
I would like to take this opportunity to thank the Allegheny-Kiski Valley Sports Hall of Fame Committee for their time and efforts over the years towards presenting this outstanding event. I would also like to say what an honor it is to be a member of this year's class of inductees, as well as with all the previous inductees, knowing how exceptional their athletic careers were. But I'd like to go off script here for just a minute and take this opportunity to thank my wife, Kathy, for putting up with me for coaching for 40-some years. never complained about the long hours of practicing, Friday nights, Saturday mornings, Saturday afternoons, scouting, games, and I appreciated that. But I got to tell you, I think she got a little tired of it near the end of my career. Her and a few of her friends, my friends, would often ask me when my last year was going to be. And I finally started telling them, well, next year will be my last season. So at the end of that year, she had a nice big cake for me and had friends over, gave me a nice card with all their signatures on it. And it was a nice retirement party. The only problem was the following year I continued to coach. But I told her that would be the last year. So she had another party for me. Cake was a little smaller, not as many friends. I think the same card. I think she kept it and re-gifted me with that. But again, I went back to coaching. I always had an excuse to go back. But each year, the parties got smaller, the cakes got smaller, until finally, my retirement party was just my wife Kathy and myself. And the large cake became a little cupcake. I knew then it was time to retire. But thank you, Kathy. I love you. Now, I know I'm supposed to give you some outstanding words of wisdom and ideals to live by, but to be honest, I'm sure I have none that you haven't already heard. I would just like to say that over the many years of playing and coaching many sports, I was fortunate to experience many forms of winning and losing. And many of these wins and losses came about without a game ever being played. I learned one of these lessons in losing when I took up the game of golf at the age of 36. When I first started golfing with a few of the guys I coached and taught with at Riverview. Now, I was a novice at this time, playing with my so-called friends who shot in the 80s while I was shooting around 120. We would gather on the first tee every Saturday morning, and our foursome would try to decide who the two-man teams were going to be because we played 3 six-hole matches. Well, my buddies would get together, the 3 of them, and they would flip a coin, and then whoever had the odd one, they would say, the loser has to take Dawn. Now, every Saturday morning, I would hear the same thing. The loser has to take Dawn. Well, having my friends call me a loser before the round of golf even started taught me that there are many different ways and degrees of losing at sports. That was a lifetime experience that showed me there could be many forms of losing at sports, just like there are in life, and I certainly had my share, like most of us. But more importantly, I was also, of course, very fortunate to be able to win in different ways. I won just by being coached by some excellent mentors. Head coaches Dick Brown and L. Pappy Dunn at Ken High in football and baseball. Then the head coach, Marvin Bass, for my freshman year of football at the University of South Carolina. And after transferring for my second year of college, I had Bill Hepner, the head coach, and Fran Herron, my line coach, for 3 years of football at the University of California in Pennsylvania. Now, just being able to be associated with these coaches was a win for me. And then I won again when I got to enjoy 46 years of coaching with the likes of Jake Kappa, the head football coach, Jack Schmidt, the head basketball coach, Chuck Wagner, the head football coach, and Bill Beebe, the head baseball coach, and longtime football assistant at Verona and Riverview High Schools. All former inductees in this great Hall of Fame, by the way. Now, I was fortunate also to coach football with head coach Troy Heel at Valley and head coach and athletic director Mark Jones at Leechburg. Again, just forming these relationships with those quality men was very rewarding and a very good win for me. And during those many years of playing and coaching football and basketball and baseball, I experienced many special events. Being co-champs of the state with East Stroudsburg, my senior year at California University. What a win that was, just to be able to play in a championship game in my final year of eligibility. And then coaching with Jake Kappa in the Whippeal Class A football finals 3 out of 4 consecutive years, and winning the Whippeal Class A final in 1997. Exhilarating events that I will never forget. But recently I remembered one of the most exciting and memorable championship games that I was a part of. As the head coach of Riverview's 7th and 8th grade basketball team that beat Knock 7th and 8th grade team by 2 points on a last-second shot in a league that doesn't even exist today. You may be wondering how that game could possibly be so special to me compared to the other championships I was involved in. Well, it became especially important to me a few months ago when one of those players from that team came to me and stated I was being considered as an inductee for this year's Hall of Fame. Well, you see, that former player was Allegheny-Kiski Sports Hall of Fame committee member Fred Soilis. Fred was one of our starting guards on that team, and he and his teammates made me so proud of them that day, and of course I'm just as proud of them today. But it made me realize that it does not have to be in the major leagues to make it important. You see, I realize today it's not the winning of the games that's so important, as it is the lifelong relationships that were built during those long seasons. It was more about instilling the positive ideals and values that I learned while playing for many coaches that I tried to instill in my players. You know, being out with my wife at a restaurant or shopping and running into one of our former players or coaches and getting that smile, that handshake, or even a hug from them is a major win. And it just reinforces that special bond that was built on those practice fields. It's those wins that you get outside of the actual games that makes athletics so rewarding. And to be able to share the stage here with Fred, my other former players in attendance tonight, well, I just want to thank you for honoring me by allowing me to be your coach and giving me one more win. Thank you, honorees, the Hall of Fame committee, and my good friends that are here tonight for sharing this unforgettable win with me tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Our next inductee, someone who excelled both as an athlete on the field and a coach from the bench. Larry Ondeco made his mark as a basketball player at the former Arnold High School, and wherever he played, he excelled at, be it baseball, be it tennis, where he's kind of owned the local country club championship over the years, and he played on a world championship softball team. Coaching-wise, he coached 500 victories on the varsity level in basketball at Leechburg, softball at Burrell, and in golf. So let's meet our next inductee, Larry Ondeco.
Thank you. Thank you all.
This is obviously a very special night, and I would first like to thank the members of the Alle-Kiski Sports Hall of Fame for finding me a place among the, I guess, the famous names of Alle-Kiski sports. When I first thought about what I wanted to say tonight, I realized immediately that, you know, this can't really be about me. This has to be about us. It has to be about me and all the people who have contributed to my successes. Nobody kind of reaches this point without the tremendous contributions of other people. Nobody can do it alone. For me, it started with a family, a mother and a father that started me on this path a lot of years ago, and a brother who, well, he raised the bar so high that even though I didn't reach that bar very often, it was good enough to be here tonight. And then a second family that started with a beautiful young bride, decided to say yes about 56 years ago when I asked if I could please marry her. And we've just walked hand in hand every step of the way for the rest of our lives. And we were blessed with 3 incredible kids. I think all 3 of them have the athletic resume to be up here someday. And with their spouses, they gave us 8 incredible grandchildren that have pretty much been the focus of our life for the last 26, 27 years. I think family it's just simple. It's the basis. It's the foundation for everything that you accomplish. I've been fortunate. I've had a lot of success athletically, but you know, in athletics, success only comes if you are fortunate enough to be surrounded by a lot of really talented, dedicated teammates. Teammates in basketball and baseball and softball, partners in tennis and our scrambled teams in golf, teammates without whom really there are no victories and there are no championships. And I'm not standing up here tonight. Success only comes if you're afforded the opportunity. And for me, that opportunity came in the person of Mr. William Carroll, my first principal at Leechburg High School. He was the guy that decided that I was the person that could take a basketball program that it was in the middle of a 52-game losing streak, and he decided I was capable of changing that road and restoring that program to first mediocrity and then to a program that was pretty much of championship caliber. I really don't know where our lives would have gone had it not been for Bill Carroll. But what I do know is that one of the really precious parts of tonight is knowing that I was able to justify the confidence and the belief that that man had in me. As a coach, I learned very quickly that my success was going to be predicated on the talents, the dedication, and the loyalty of my assistant coaches. Guys like Greg Foreman, Bill Marmo, Joe Sarasso, Mark Lamondola, John Bologna, guys who, they knew the sport, they knew basketball, they knew softball, but they willingly sacrificed a lot of the things they believed in to teach the things that I believed in. And it's really only through their abilities and their contributions that ultimately I ended up with my players. My guys, my gals, the kids that I was blessed to coach for the many years that I did. Kids that, just great kids. Kids that you could trust. Kids that you could count on. Kids you could believe in. Kids that you just knew every time were going to give you their absolute best effort every time they stepped into that athletic arena. Kids that represented their school, their team, their coaches, their families, and themselves with honors and dignity each and every day. They're not young men and women anymore. Some of them are mothers, some of them are fathers, some of them are grandfathers, grandmothers. But to me, they'll just always be my guys. They'll just always be my girls. And I'm sure that that dignity in class, that stayed with them throughout their lives. So, that's it, folks. That's my formula to be a Hall of Famer. If you surround yourself with enough great people, then they will lift you to great heights. Thank you. Thank you to each and every one of them. It's been a lot of fun.
One of the more joyful parts of the evening, we're so pleased that more than a dozen of previous inductees have joined us here tonight. So as I mention your name, would you please stand and remain standing? And at the conclusion of the list, if we could all give them a hearty round of applause. Let's start with Ed Schmidt from the class of 2003, John Maselli from the class of 2009, John McLeod from 2015, also from 2015, Dave Furman, Jim Perry from the class of 2007, Fred Paganelli just last year, so glad he can come back and be with us tonight, Diane Haney, also a committee member from the class of 2022, Tom Giotto, who will be meeting a little later on this evening from the class of 2003 as an individual, Anthony Recchia from last year's class is with us here tonight. You've already met Larry Lutz. A couple of the Lamandola brothers have joined us tonight. Mark Lamandola from the class of 2023 and Ron Lamandola from the class of 2004. Bob Rukavina from the class of 2019 and Jack Schmidt from the class of 2004. Anybody here that I'm leaving out that didn't sign the paper, just holler it out. That being the case, let's give them all a round of applause, please. Anybody who knows anything about sports, especially team sports, can tell you about how important defense is. In our next inductee, defense was certainly his calling card, both at Knock High School and later on at Allegheny College. During the 90s, he is one of the top defenders from the AK Valley. Let's call on our next inductee, Nick Reiser.
Thank you very much. So just as Mr. Adeko said very eloquently, it's about the people that are surrounding you. And, I grew up in a family, being the youngest of 8 kids. I had a Hall of Fame family, starting with my mom and dad, from being very young, starting us into sports, being there, being present at every time that we had an athletic event. That was part of it. The other part of it was my brothers and sisters that were part of that family as well. My brothers played football. One is present here tonight with his wife, Kurt and Nancy Reiser, so I'm very appreciative of them being present. And without that upbringing that I had, this would not have happened today. Moving on really to my second part of my family, in which I'm honestly, truly in amazement to hear today, and I apologize for the Borough folks here, but I have to say, I cannot believe I married a lady from Borough. I went to Knock High School, and thinking back then during those rivalry days, never thought at one point that I would marry my wife, Jen. But Jen, I'm very appreciative of, first and foremost, being your husband, and secondly, that you gave me the honor to be the father of your two boys, and that was a great honor to do that. And so, thank you. And also, I think she might be more competitive than me. During these basketball games and football games, she might be the loudest, and oftentimes I don't even sit by her, but that's okay. But thank you, and really blessed that I'm part of your life. On to my kids, which are here tonight, and a few of them are here tonight, are my boys. Jackson Reiser, who was honored here a couple years ago as Defensive Player of the Year, Braden Clark, and Zachary Clark. Honored to be your dads, honored to be your coaches, and just honored to watch you guys play through the years of sports. Couldn't be more proud of each of you and what you displayed on the basketball courts, the football field, the baseball fields, and you really exemplified the competitive spirit that I felt like was part of my calling when I played sports. I think I'm going off notes here a little bit, so I'm going to reflect here on a couple things. The last thing that I would like to say is, now that I'm out into the professional world, and also our family is extended to our friends and family, very happy and thankful that they were a part of this tonight. So my friends within the Freeport area are here, so thank you very much for coming. And then my new friends and my team with Advanced Home Health and Hospice are here tonight, and so I appreciate the support for you, or that you guys are showing tonight. There's one group that I especially want to recognize that were a major part of my life and my career through sports. It was the 1992 Knock football team. A couple things that this team had as goals going through at the beginning. First, I don't know if you remember, Knock High School didn't have lights for the longest time and would always play on Saturdays. We always thought that was a competitive advantage, but us as kids always loved to play on Friday night. Our parents got together and raised the money themselves independently of the school district and said, we're putting lights up for our kids. And without them and that drive behind us, we would not have played the first Friday night football game at Knock High School. The last part is my teammates. A few of them are here tonight. Bill Seppage, Mike Folletto, and Max Flick. We had the greatest time. I think we oftentimes talk about the stories outside of the field more than what happened on the field, but really those guys that surrounded me and surrounded our team was very special, and when we get together now, it's like we never miss a beat. So very appreciative of them, very thankful, and without them, would not be standing here today as well. Lastly, I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame committee, and specifically calling out Fred Soilis and Sean Stuyvesant. Really appreciate all you've done and showing up at my house right before Thanksgiving. What a great honor to be up here. Great honor to be mentioned within some great athletes within the AK Valley. And also, this event that is put on it's the second time coming here. I'd like to give a round of applause to the groups that put it together. So thank you for thank you.
Now we want to bring up our Valley News Dispatch male and female soccer players from this past fall, Milo Chu from Fox Chapel and Brianna Ross of Springdale. As far as Milo goes, he was instrumental in Fox Chapel's first WPIAL team title since 1995. His academic accomplishments: 3-time Scholar Athlete Award, 2-time Fox Chapel Wrestling QPA Award, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania certificate awarded to the top 5% of SAT scorers, 3-time Pennsylvania Wrestling Coaches Association All-Academic Second Team, and an AP Scholar with distinction on the athletic field besides his soccer championship. He was on the WPIAL Quad A Section 3 Soccer Champion and the WPIAL 3A Section Wrestling Championship team. He was PIAA Soccer All-State Team, Big 56 Quad A Section 3 Soccer Player of the Year, along with being, as I mentioned, the AK Valley Male Soccer Player of the Year, Fox Chapel Soccer Team MVP and the Team Unsung Hero, two-time All-WPI Soccer Team member, ECNL Ohio Valley All-Conference Second Team member, Allegheny All-County Wrestling Team member, and a three-time wrestling section medalist. His hobbies are skiing and snowmobiling, and he enjoys traveling. He's been to over 50 countries. They don't allow me very much far out of the AK Valley over the years, but he has been to over 50 countries, and he enjoys exercising. He belongs to the National Honor Society, Technology Student Association, and is a Fox Chapel Student Ambassador. He volunteers for the International Esperanza Project in Guatemala, the Second Harvest Volunteer, and an Earth Day Volunteer, and he will be attending Purdue University's honors program majoring in engineering. Milo Chu. And Brianna Ross is one of many, many great soccer players over the years from Springdale High School. Just this past year, she scored 42 goals and had 30 assists. She was on the Pennsylvania State Coaches Association All-State team. She has a Springdale record 132 career goals, including 11 in the postseason. She's a member of the National Honor Society. She's been All-Section, All-WPIAL, and All-State, along with the WPIAL Championship. And with the WPIAL office, she's a winner of the James Collins Scholarship Award. Her hobbies are gardening and running. She belongs to the Steel City Football Club 07 academic team and the Steel City FC women's football, or women's first team. And volunteer activities include the Key Club and the Lower Valley Food Bank, and she will be attending Penn State Barron, majoring in plastics engineering and minoring in environmental science. Be sure to get yourself a good winter coat heading up to Erie. But let's again recognize Brianna Ross from Springdale High School. Last year we started inducting teams into our Hall of Fame, and tonight we have one of the greatest teams ever to set foot on a basketball floor in the AK Valley, the first team ever to make a state championship, and we're talking about the 1948 Ford City boys basketball team. We have the last living member of that team, Bill Englert Sr., who is 95 years young. A lot of interesting people on that team. For instance, John Portasic, they nicknamed him Porky. He went on to join the Navy after his days at Ford City. And when John Glenn flew into outer space, became the first American to orbit the Earth, he was on the reconnaissance team from the Eastern Turk Islands, and he was the first person to go over to John Glenn, open up his capsule, and welcome him back to Earth. That's the sort of people that were part of that Ford City team. So let's now bring on Bill Englert Sr., and to accept induction for that great team, we'll also call on Bill Englert Jr.
Thank you. Again, I'm Bill Englert Jr. I'm representing the 1948 Ford City Glassers basketball team. Again, my father's here. I don't know if anybody else is here who is coming to represent one of the other team members. I didn't think so, but I know everybody's thanking their wives tonight. My wife had absolutely nothing to do with any of this, but I still love her, okay? All right. Now, think about this small town. So Ford City had about 5,000 people in 1948, and they went on to beat all these powerhouses: Ken High, Harbrack, Newcastle, Westinghouse, Wilkinsburg, Conemaugh. They went on to win the WPIAL Championship, the PIAA West Region Championship. They went to Philly and lost to Norristown 30-23. But just think, Norristown had 38,000 population. There's little Ford City with 4,000. So these ones were impressive.
and they were the result of a lot of masterful coaching, the skill and effort of the young men who were on the team. But when you really look back at it, I don't really think this is a David versus Goliath kind of event. This is something that really united this small town, and I'll talk about that a bit. So Ford City, coming out of World War II, 1948. My dad, born in 1930, and all his teammates were born during the Great Depression, the height of it. His dad died when he was 3, so my grandmother had 7 kids in the Depression, and so they, like his teammates, they really came from humble backgrounds. My dad and his teammates growing up didn't own a basketball. He talks about having an old beach ball wrapped in tape. Their first basket or hoop was the rim from a barrel of railroad spikes that they nailed to a garage. That was their basketball hoop. They collected sawdust from a local wood shop that they would throw in the alley to sop up the water. And then they would burn tires so that they could play in the evenings. Whenever they won the WPIL championship, an alumnus of the school put them up at a restaurant on the way home from Pittsburgh, and it was the first time they had ever had steak. So these are 17-year-old kids. So the team was off to Philly to play Norristown at the Penn Palastra, and Penn Palastra had glass backboards. They had never played on a glass backboard before. It was something new to them. When they got to Philly, another alumnus had them go to a very popular night spot called the Click. And when all these young kids sat down at their table, they wondered, why are there glass bowls with orange slices and ketchup? They had never seen shrimp cocktail before. So this is something that, these young kids had never been much far out of Ford City, getting to these places and experiencing all these new things. Busloads of fans came to the game came to Philly for the game. Remember, the Turnpike wasn't finished then, so they went a long way to get there. My grandmother and my dad's brothers could not afford the bus tickets or the travel expenses, and a local businessman paid for it. I stole the tickets, actually. The $10 for the bus ticket, 65 cents for the child's admission, and $1.30 for the adult admission. But this is the kind of thing that united the community. The game was televised, but nobody in Ford City owned a TV, so they didn't get to see that. But someone did tape it, and they showed it at the Ritz Theater in Ford City as a matinee feature. So this was a big deal. The city had a feast for them, a community dinner. They named all the foods after all the players. My dad had Englert coleslaw, was his. So they were a close-knit team. My dad and his teammates met continuously throughout the years. They kept up with each other's lives. Every year they had a birthday dinner for their coach, Hugh Rupert, and until he passed away. You see, my dad has the trophy. When Ford City High School and Catani merged, they dumped everything, all these old trophies, and someone scavenged it, and so my dad has it. That's a 1948 trophy. So on behalf of my father, his teammates, and the coaches, thanks for honoring them with this induction. Really appreciate it.
Well, I really appreciate this honor. Whoever thought after 77 years we'd be honored, but anyhow, it's a real honor, and I appreciate everything everyone had anything to do with this, especially my son.
Well, a sad part of tonight's banquet, we want to recognize our previous inductees who have passed away since the last time we were together. And let me introduce the folks. First of all, in the upper right-hand corner, one of the most famous coaches of all time, Dick Dilts, who one of his teams will be honoring him. You know, even though Dick Dilts hasn't coached in 32 years, he is still the winningest coach in Westmoreland County history. Westmoreland County High School lost him this past year. In the lower left-hand corner is John Butch Lippett, who made his mark as a basketball player at St. Joseph High School. And always great at organizing. He had a youth basketball program at Burrell for about 40 some odd years. He also was the PA announcer for Burrell football games for about 40 years plus. And he also, as a metallurgist, headed the 7-man metallurgical team that invented the aluminum baseball bat at the Alcoa Tech Center in Upper Burrell. How many of you knew before tonight that the aluminum bat was invented right here in the AK Valley? See, we all learned something tonight. Next, in the lower right-hand corner, Joe Nonchek, who went to Plum High School when it was known as Plum Township High School, played a couple of years professional baseball in a Pirates organization, played football also at Arizona State University, but as a coach, he shares with a couple of others a unique WPI-AL record as he led 4 different schools to the WPI-AL football playoffs. So if you had a football team back then in bad shape, Joe Nonchek was the guy you called. And also in the upper left-hand corner, Rick Tattern. Rick Tattern went to the former East Deer High School, got a football scholarship to Kansas University. But he fell in love with the sport of volleyball and was the Deer Lakes High School volleyball coach for over 40 years and won 2 state championships during his tenure at Deer Lakes. And right in the middle is Alex Kroll, who played on the 1953 Leechburg WPI-AL championship football team. He also played at Rutgers University. Here he is pictured with the Rutgers coach. And he played for the New York Jets when they were known as the New York Titans in the early days of the American Football League. But soon after his football playing career ended, he went into advertising and was a big star on Madison Avenue as he went with the Young and Rubicon advertising agency. And in fact, he headed Young and Rubicon for a while. Some of you might remember in the 70s and 80s the TV commercial that for the United Negro College Fund that said, "A mind is a terrible thing to waste." Well, that was his slogan that he thought up, that and many other slogans. And one person who's not pictured, but a great football player at Springdale High School, Jim Conley, played on the 10-0 1959 team at Springdale, and he also played for Michigan, where he was a team captain for the Wolverines and a member of the team that won the 1965 Rose Bowl. So would you please join me in a moment of silence for the deceased inductees from this past year. Thank you very much. Our next inductee from the glory days of Pitt football, Mark Schubert, played on some great Panther teams in the late 1970s, and before that he was a member of Springdale High School's 1973 WPI-AL championship football team. So let's say hello to Mark Schubert.
Good evening, everybody. It's with a full heart and deep gratitude that I stand before you tonight. I want to thank the AK Valley Sports Hall of Fame Committee for the incredible honor. To be recognized by this community that shaped me is humbling beyond words. I accept this on the behalf of so many that have walked this journey with me. First, my teammates, coaches, and especially the fellow senior players from the 1973 WPI-AL Class A Championship Springdale Dynamos. We were small but mighty. We built something special together that will last for a while. To Carson Long, my mentor at Pitt, a man who showed me what it meant to work with precision and determination under pressure. To Coach Harry Jones, a standout from the 1964 national champion Arkansas Razorbacks. The offensive back coach for Pitt's 1976 national championship team, which included Heisman Trophy winner Tony Dorsett. During our 1979 Pitt-Washington telecast, Harry Jones, who was doing the color, said Mark is one of the hardest workers on the team. This was the first of Pitt's 3 11-1 seasons that made up of players like Dan Marino and Mark May, Hugh Green, Ricky Jackson, Russ Grimm. Him saying that meant the world to me, and it still does today. But the person who helped me make the most important transition from athletics to success to life purpose is my wife, Christine. Her strength, her love, her steady belief in me turned the discipline of sport into something bigger. She helped me become the person I was meant to be. Over the years, I've carried with me voices of so many coaches that challenge and encourage me. All of us have heard, go to the ball, fall on it, don't try to pick it up. Jackie Sherrill used to say, everybody wants to win, but not everyone is willing to pay the price to win. And John Majors would tell us, if you do the little things, the big things will take care of themselves. And how could I forget the words when Keith Jackson from ABC Sports would say, Mark Schubert, the sophomore from Springdale, Pennsylvania. To have Springdale announced on national TV was such an honor. And Al Michaels would say, the kick is good, from ABC Sports. And then finally, Charlie Jones, the NBC Fiesta color analyst, would say, he did it again. The strangest thing somebody said about me, though, was, you look like you would be a good shortstop. Those people I grew up with Springdale, at least the people I played minor league baseball, would say that I had to carry the ball when I was catching halfway back to the pitcher. I was a terrible baseball player. These voices helped me define my past, and they were really important. But now there's a voice I hear, stronger, deeper, more eternal. I am the way, the truth, and the life. Fear not, I am with you. Be not dismayed, I will help you. Those that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. And someday, I hope to hear the voice I long for the most. Well done, my good and faithful servant. Tonight's recognition is a joy, and I'm grateful for it. But it's only one stop in the journey. My prayer is to honor the gifts I've been given through service, humility, and love. To the young athletes here tonight, listen to the voices that push you. Learn from the ones that challenge you. Hold on to the ones that shape you. Someday they'll become the compass you carry for life. And if you're fortunate, like I've been, those voices will echo long after the crowds go home. Thank you, God bless you all, and may we all continue to run the race set before us with strength, purpose, and joy.
Next, someone who also made an early mark at Springdale High School, Paul Sapochny, was the 1971 Player of the Year, and I'd like to call the attention to our high school athletes here. Once upon a time, he was sitting where you are now, and this evening, Paul Sapochny, great coach, over 450 career coaching victories and a spot in the state championship game in 2009. Let's welcome Paul Sapochny.
Thank you all very much. This is such an honor. Before I start, this is an unbelievable weekend for myself and my family. Not only the Hall of Fame today, but last night we were at a wedding. Our son Sean got married to Eve, And now we have a new partner in our family. And I just want to congratulate both of them. It was a beautiful wedding yesterday. There was something in the paper, and it had each of the inductees today, and by the way, congratulations to all of you. And it had the person's name, Larry Ondeco, and the year he graduated high school, and so forth, Mark Schubert, the year he graduated high school. And then by my name, all they had was, not all they had was, but it was a true comment, just said, longtime basketball coach. And that's it, I am. I will be starting my 43rd year as a basketball coach this year. Almost every year but 3, I've been the head coach. I was a college assistant twice, and I was a JV coach for 1 year. I started my love for basketball, and I'm not going to go through every year. This will not take long. But I started my love for basketball in 6th grade. I can remember Dave Charlton, who's here right now. I was going to go out for the St. Alphonsus grade school team, and he was trying to explain to me the concept of 3 seconds. And I had the very difficult time, and some people would say during the course of my tenure coaching, I've still had a difficult time dealing with 3 seconds. Played grade school, played high school. You know, I wasn't a bad player. Went on to college at Westminster on a scholarship, and I wasn't a very good college player. You know, 6'2" forwards in college aren't what most coaches are looking for. I played 2 years there. I did not play my 3rd year. And between my junior and senior year, I decided I think I may want to coach. So I told my mom, and she said, well, you know, why don't you work at a camp all summer? So I went to Waynesboro, Pennsylvania, and for 9 weeks I coached basketball. And I learned so much during that time, and I loved it, and I had a great experience. So going back into my senior year at Westminster, new coaches took over, Ron Galbraith and Dave Rooney, and they were new to the school. And I was a senior, and I was a director of a dorm, and I knew a lot of people on campus, and one day they cut out an article that they needed a grad assistant. And, you know, I was trying out for the team, and I thought I had a chance to make it. Probably not play very much, but have a chance to make it. And I went in, and I showed them the article, and they said, well, you know, you're playing, you're a senior. And I talked them into them hiring me instead of a grad assistant, but as a senior assistant. After that, I've been coaching pretty much nonstop. A couple years off for retirement. A couple years off because of some health problems, and I thought I was officially and finally done. And this past October, I got some phone calls from some people that played at Greensburg, said the coach just left, or would you be interested coming back again? And I did. So I'll be starting my 43rd year this year at Greensburg-Salem High School. So longtime coach is an appropriate comment about me. I would like very much to thank my family. Jan has been through a lot, 43 years for me coaching, and so is my family. My 3 children, their spouses, and my 4 grandchildren. I've missed over the years, as a lot of coaches do, a number of holidays and some birthdays and so forth because I was coaching. And I only know one way to coach. You know, I don't think I'm real smart, and I'm not super creative. I've always felt like if my team spends more time than your team, and if we work as hard as we possibly can, that we're going to end up being okay. And that's kind of what I've done. And that's why this past week, for 3 days, I was at the high school gym having workouts with like 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, and I'm thinking, you know, Christ, you're 72 and you're here with like 13 and 14-year-olds. But you know what? I love it more than anything. I think I love it as much now as I did when I first started way back when. I would also like to thank my friends. I am in such a special spot. I have so many friends that I have been friends with forever, and a lot of them are here today. Alan, who nominated me, was my next door neighbor, and he's still a very good friend. There's Springdale people here. There are Greensburg people here. There are Riverview people here. 3 of the places that I coached. We've been friends forever. Nothing is better to me than when I'm coaching and I'm walking out with the team right before the game, and I see someone that I graduated with or a friend that are in the stands, and I know they came to watch my team, to watch our team, and that makes me feel so good. I'm so blessed to have such great friends and a great family. And the third group of people I would like to recognize are my assistant coaches. When you coach for 43 years, you go through a lot of assistant coaches. I've been blessed, and I think almost all of them that I've had, I really enjoyed them, I liked them, we became friends. But 3 assistant coaches in particular, I would just like to make a comment on. The first one would be Chris Newrohr, who was with me for 25 years at Greensburg Salem. Okay? And what has happened is, not only is Chris a very good assistant coach and was my assistant coach for a long time, but he also turned into one of my best friends. And to this day, that's how I feel about that. The second person would be Coach Larry, Buck Larry, who not only coached with me for probably over 20 years at Greensburg, but then followed me to Riverview. I don't know what he was thinking, and he was my assistant there for 6 years. And it's just like Coach Chris, not only a very good assistant coach, but a very good friend. And I appreciate that. The third assistant is not here today, Gene Brisbane, who he's crazy enough. He started with me in 1983 or 84 at Greensburg, then went on to coach somewhere else as a head coach, and it came back again to be my assistant. And then when I got the job again in October, he's back again. And of course I told him the only reason I hired him is that he's a little bit older than me, and I did not want to be the oldest coach. And I appreciate all of those and all the other people that worked for me. I'm so blessed and so happy and so lucky that I'm still doing something that I've loved since I've been in 6th grade. And, like I say, my philosophy pretty much is that we're going to try to work harder than you. We're not going to be super fancy, and we're going to try to develop players that are better than yours. I love coaching in big games. Some of Greensburg's teams that I coached were very, very good. Section titles, playoffs, getting to the state title game as well, winning a bunch of games at the buzzer, one after another. And those things were all fantastic. How neat is that? But I think what I love most is what I was doing this past week, just being in the gym with some players and trying to teach them and coach them and watch them develop as players and also as nice young men. I'd like to thank you again. This is quite an honor for me, and I feel blessed. I thank everyone here that are my friends, family, and assistant coaches for coming and helping in this event for me. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Let's now bring on the Valley News Dispatch Female Basketball Player of the Year, Katerina Sambas from Riverview High School. Katerina averaged 18.3 points per game and she scored 20 or more points on 9 occasions this past year. Academically, she's on the High Honor Roll at Riverview and a member of the National Honor Society. Athletically, she was captain of the basketball team for 2 years, 4-year varsity starter, 3-time All-Section awardee, and 4 district playoff appearances. Riverview made the playoffs every year she was there. In soccer, she was a captain this past year, 4-year varsity letter winner, 2-time All-Section, 2-time All-WPIAL, played on the Raiders 2023 section championship team. And in 23, they were not only WPIAL finalists, they were the PIAA finalists. 4 district playoff appearances and 1 state appearance for Riverview soccer. Track, she was a captain this past year, 4-year varsity letter winner, 2022 section champion. She holds the school record in the 4x400 relay and placed 5th at the WPIALs the last 2 seasons and qualified twice for the PIAA meet. Her hobbies include hanging out with her friends and getting food. Organization she belongs to, Student Council, Orchestra Group, Spanish Club, and the Prom Committee. Volunteer activities, she works with the Greek Food Festival and the Dormition of the Theotokos Greek Orthodox Church to cook and bake food for their festival. She's a bell ringer for the Salvation Army, so please be kind if she's out there freezing, ringing the bell. And babysitting, where her proceeds go to her church youth group. And she plans on attending Penn State University to study kinesiology. Katerina Sambas from Riverview. When Valley High School was first formed, they had great success in basketball and to extent baseball, but the football team really had a lot of trouble getting on track. And finally, in the 1973 season, Valley became prominent in football, and one of the people who helped turn things around for the Valley Viking football fortunes for those couple of years in 73 and 74, and also made his mark as a baseball player. Let's call on our next inductee, Jonathan Johnny Martin.
Hi, thank you for having me. First and foremost, I'd like to thank God for giving me the ability to be all I could be. Without His guidance and blessings, I wouldn't be here today. I was always, I also want to thank my family for their unwavering support throughout my life. They have always stood behind me in everything I pursued. My dad was my first football coach, as well as my baseball coach. Playing football for the Louisville Flyers at age 6, there was games I always wanted to play, but he would never put me in. I ran to my mom and said, "Mom, talk to Dad." And Dad still said no. From that moment on, my parents were the greatest supporters in my career. They never missed a game, from Pee Wee all the way through college. Out of 36 college football games, they only missed 1 because it was in New York. My mother was my biggest cheerleader. No matter how large the crowd, I can hear her voice. At baseball games, she had a unique way of motivating me by waving money in the air. So when I hit the ball, I just kept running and running and running. I wanted to play with the older kids when I was a child. They played tackle football on the concrete. So my oldest brother, Butch, he told me I couldn't cry. So I played, but I wait till I got home to cry. My brother Robert, he was my idol. I wanted to be like him because he was a good athlete. I even took his number in junior high and high school. I kept it in the family. But my biggest influence was my brother Mike. We played excuse me for a second. We played every sport together, and we played a major role in my life. The reason why I'm here today. Going head to head with him in practice from junior high through college forced me to be at my best because he was so good at what he did. I never forget the Oklahoma drill. We had to go against each other, and I had to tackle Mike, and we would just repeat it until I tackled him. So on the fourth try, I put him on his back, but he left a reminder. He left a little cut under my eye. So I always remember that. Every time I look in the mirror, I'm like, dang, what's up, Mike? In baseball, we play fast pitch. And if I could hit him, I could hit anybody because he threw very hard. The summer after my junior year, I finished the season with a .450 batting average, third best in the county. That same year, I had a tryout with the Pittsburgh Pirates. I did well enough to earn the second tryout, but at Three River Stadiums. But there were so many elite athletes there. I knew I had to work harder in order to become one of the elite. You won't win every time, but success comes from learning, adjusting, and working hard to make the most out of your next opportunity. I want to sincerely thank the AK Hall of Fame committee as well as my family. I also want to thank my wife, Crystal, who I love very much. I also want to thank my friends and family for supporting me. And may God bless all of y'all. Thank you.
This past winter, we had a state champion in high school hockey in our midst. The Borough High School hockey team won the state championship. And to talk about the team, as they receive an award for winning a state championship on a team level, let's call in Drew Burkett, the Borough High School hockey coach.
How's everyone doing? I really quickly just wanted to say thank you on behalf of our team, our organization, and myself, to the Hall of Fame committee. It's an honor to receive this recognition of our hard work and success this year. This award means a lot to our team, and we're proud to be recognized and represented by our county. I wanted to say congratulations to our inductees tonight, and thank you for letting me be a part of your night. Am I talking about the team as well? Yeah. Thank you.
Our next team induction, Kiski area has had so many great football teams over the years, but only one has brought home the WPI AL Gold, and that is our next induction, the 1971 Kiski area football team that not only got WPI AL wide and statewide recognition, the St. Paul Pioneer Press, prior to the USA Today coming out, that had national ranking system. In the 1971, Kiski area was number 5 in the entire country. So let's meet the quarterback, also a previous inductee for our organization. Let's call on Tom Giotto.
Well, first of all, I want to congratulate all the inductees. It's a big night for you, and congratulations. I think one of the things you see from these kind of events are how important great coaches are. I also want to thank or congratulate Jody Vic McCarthy and Jamie Vic Moran, two outstanding Kiski athletes who are being honored here tonight. Way to go. Great role models, and it's really amazing what you're doing for the foundation. I also want to congratulate Larry Ondego. He played a hell of a lot of golf at the Vanderbilt Golf Club with my dad, my uncle, and my cousin, and I know his brother Ray probably taught him how to swing that club. I also want to shout out to the Ford City team. 1948 played in the state finals. And I want to thank you because it only took you 74 years or 77 years to get there. Because I've had teammates tonight who were bitching about how long it took for the 1971 Kiski team to get in the Hall of Fame. And as I pointed out, they just started giving teams recognition last year. So way to go, Ford City. Thank you. You took a lot of pressure off of us. All right, the 1971 Kiski team. We had lots of firsts. The first thing is we went to camp, not in our gymnasium, but we went up to St. Francis of Loretto. It was away from the girlfriends and the families, which the coaches loved. It was very cool and comforting, unlike the Kiski, Alle-Kiski Valley, where, in August when you went to camp, it was about 90 degrees every day. We slept in dormitories on real beds, not on, air mattresses on the floor. We still had a lot of wake-up calls from Coach Murray and Coach Nicholas that they woke you up. Most importantly, we were away from all of our girlfriends and families, so they had our full attention 24/7. It was also the first team to win 12 games in one season. It was the first team to ever play in a WPIAL playoff. We got the benefit of playing Penn Hills, maybe the best dang team in the WPIAL, at Latrobe Field on a Friday night, and our next opponent, Thomas Jefferson, was waiting for us, and they had a bye. So we did battle with Penn Hills. We beat Penn Hills on a field goal by Joe Stone, who couldn't be here tonight because he's had some health issues, and he kicked the field goal. We won 9-6, and the next day, the Valley Dispatch, I think, indicated that Stone kicks Penn Hills, or Kiski beats Penn Hills stone cold. It was a great kick from a great player. So how did we do it? The year before, we had a team that was dominated the foothills and lost to Mount Lebanon in the WPIAL championship. We lost that game at Three River Stadium. It was the first two high school teams to ever play in Three River Stadium. And that team was loaded. Their junior year, that senior class started on defense. Their senior year, they played defense and offense. There were two guys who lettered or who played that year. There may have been more who lettered, but there were only two who played. So we had to start over both on offense and defense. And how did we do it? We had the greatest coaching staff in high school football. There's no question about it. Dick Dilts, who was recognized here tonight, Frank Murray, Tony Nicholas, Bill Hawley, were unbelievable coaches. I had the benefit of playing at Penn State, and I want to tell you, they were as good as any of the Penn State coaches. They were organized. When you went on the field for practice, we had a typed out schedule every day, beginning with Mondays, and we knew what we were going to do every minute we were on the field, and all Dick had to do was blow his whistle, and we went to our next practice session. We had a great offensive scheme. We had a great defensive scheme. It was the same plays that we had been running since junior high school. I mean, Dilts had pushed down that program to all the junior high coaches, and they were terrific as well. What people may not have realized was Dick Dilts was a fitness genius. We were in the best shape of any team that we ever played. The fourth quarter was always ours. If we had to play a fifth quarter, it would have been ours. He was just amazing at how he got his teams ready, and we all benefited from that. And the program started right after the season. For those who didn't compete in other sports, you were in the gym, lifting, running, and getting in shape. Now that didn't mean he didn't encourage everybody to play other sports. I mean, the football program encouraged everybody to play all sports: wrestling, basketball, gymnastics, track, baseball, swimming. We had guys on the team that did it all. But really, when we got really wound up was in the summer, because the summer program was a killer. And again, Dilts was so organized. Everybody had a chart. You had to chart what you did. You lifted, 3 days a week. You ran. You did pull-ups. It was just incredible. And the coaches were dedicated. I mean, they were dedicated to the high school. They were dedicated. Teachers, they were really unbelievable. So, what did we have? We had a great tradition. We benefited from that tradition. It was a tradition that the coaches didn't let you forget. It started in '62 when Dilts showed up. Many people don't know this, but Frank Murray put Dilts' name into the hiring process for the Kiski area job. Up until that point, we played Vandergrift High, and we probably got our asses kicked by Fort City every other year in basketball and football. But anyway, Dilts comes to Kiski area in '62, and he starts to build a program. In 1964, they were 10-0. And I don't know how many Bookers, Tommy Booker's here with his family and friends, or maybe just family, but how many Bookers played at Kiski area? Jojo Booker, Phil Booker, Eddie Booker, Benny Booker, Richard Booker, maybe the greatest athlete that ever came out of Kiski area. The guy could do anything. He could vault. He could, it was just an incredible athlete. And his brother Bobby Booker was a pretty damn good athlete as well. So, 64, 10-0, and they talked about that team all the time. 67, 8-1, Foothills champions. 68, 9-2, WPL runner-up. Lost to Latrobe. My brother played on that team. I think he caught the only touchdown for Kiski. They played at Forest Field, rainy, miserable night. 69, Foothills champions. 1970, the team that preceded our team. 10-0, lost to Mount Lebanon in the WPL championship. 1971, 12-0. The 72 team, the team that followed us, many of those guys are here tonight. More of those guys are here tonight than the 71 team. They went 9-1 and lost to Gateway. So there was just this tradition of winning and expecting to win. So we lose to Mount Lebanon in the WPL final, and we're going in to the locker room, and Dick is upset, the coaches are upset, but they're not, they didn't lose their minds. And Dick says to us, "Okay, Junior, just take a look around. You'll never see this." So right away, he was planning on motivating us for the next year, and it motivated us. We talked about that all the time, and guys worked their tails off in the off season and in the summer to show them that we were capable. So we start out the 71 season. The predictions were we weren't going to be very good. We had to replace 20 guys. We had 2 guys coming back. Those 2 guys weren't all that good. They weren't that fast. They weren't that big. And that's what the papers were writing about. But we had a different mindset. We had expectations. And those expectations came from our theme. We believed. We believed. And what did that mean? That meant we believed we were going to win. And we were going to win every game. And that was our expectations. And we put the work in to make it come true. That's a good, I hope the new coach brings back that we believe attitude. The other thing that we had that Kiski didn't always develop was a group of juniors who were incredible. We had a strong group of seniors, and we weren't great as sophomores. We were getting better, and at the end of our sophomore year, we scrimmaged the junior team that was like unbelievable, and we held our own against them. And then, we started to get some confidence. At the end of our junior year, we actually played pretty good against the seniors in the scrimmage. But when we got into the season, we had a good group of seniors, but we had an outstanding group of juniors: Russell Clark, Joe Stone, Jim Henderson, Steve Early, Larry Gibson, Joe Bushofsky, Billy Marhefka, Don Coco, Mike Hansen, Mueller's Touchstone, Tommy Booker, and Sam Anderson. So we had great practices. We had tough scrimmages. And then we had a group of seniors. Larry Wilson, the Flea, 5'6", 140 pounds. Steve Canis, our big fullback, 6 feet tall, 175 pounds. Mike Melito, Dave Greenley, one of our offensive guards, he was 165 pounds. J.L. Lynch, John Vahola, Tommy King, slot back. Barry Lekovich played guard and defensive end. That team, none of us started on offense. That was, a whole new offensive team. Hall Ross, Dave Soltis, Marty Carcado, and Joey Carpentier, just to name a couple of the guys. And we started the season. We ripped off a good victory against Norwin. Won the next few games, and then we had to play our annual rival, and that was Hemphill, coached by the great Bill Abraham. And it was a hell of a game. We beat them at Kiski 13-8. I think the paper reported there were like 9,000 people in the stands. It felt like more like 12,000. And then we had the playoff game against Penn Hills, and Joe Stone stopped them, beat them with a field goal. And then we go in to play TJ, which was one heck of a team in the WPL championship. We played at Pitt Stadium, and we beat them 16-8. And that team was coached by Bat Manzini, another great coach. So we had, how did we get there? First of all, it was a great program built by great coaches who really did a great job. And we had that spirit that we believe. Now, I also want to point out a couple of my teammates who had really unbelievable seasons. The first is Steve Canis, co-captain on the team and a big fullback. We were playing, and I'm just going to talk about a couple of games, a couple of plays in a couple of games. We were playing Greensburg, Salem, and they had a loaded team. 3 of those guys became teammates of mine at Penn State, and they're driving the ball on us, and they get down to about the 4-yard line. We stop them. We get the ball. We ran 32 trap. Canis takes it 96 yards, and this center that we had, Russell Clark, he clipped somebody on the 10-yard line as Steve was going into the end zone. Now, the amazing thing is he was down at the 10-yard line as a center. And Steve comes back to the huddle. He is pissed off because this is the longest run of his career. And, we got the ball on the 2-yard line because they moved it back halfway back to the goal line, and we ran a few other plays, and we got the ball out on the 24-yard line, and Coach Murray called 32 trap again. He took it for like 75 yards and for a touchdown. what he said to Russell as we were lining up, don't clip anybody this time, Russ. I'd also like to point out Barry Lekovich. Barry Lekovich, I said, was a guard and a gymnast, 180 pounds. He could bench press like 400 pounds. He was incredible. In the Mount Lebanon game, he, in the second half on a kickoff, he got out of his lane. Mount Lebanon ran a touchdown back, and that sort of broke our concentration, broke our backs. Barry, in the TJ game, made every tackle on every punt and every kickoff against TJ. Unbelievable. Then we had the flea, Larry Wilson, great running back, 5'6", 140 pounds. You never got a good shot at him because he was always twisting and turning. He was one of the leading rushers in the WPIL that year. Again, his senior year, he only played one season. And we had a great game. We had a big game coming up against Tyrone Wilson, or Wilkinsburg, who had Tyrone Wilson, who was 6'2", 205 pounds, leading touchdown scorer in the WPIL that year. And we held him to 27 yards, no touchdown. Meanwhile, the Flea had 136 yards and 3 touchdowns that day. So just a couple of guys pointing out their achievements because they were tough. They were ready to go. Thank you. And tonight, some of the guys that are here, Steve Canis, Paul Ross, Mike Hansen, John Varhola. Views, I haven't forgotten you. Sam Anderson, Euler's touchdown, Larry Gibson, the Clark family. God bless you. Honorable. And we had the greatest statistician, high school statistician or statistician of any team, Michael Narduzzi. If I didn't put a plug in for Michael, he's going to kick my butt. Stand up, Michael. He's related to the Pitco, so Penn State guy pointing that out. I mean, I should get some kudos for that. Thank you. Thank you to the. That's okay. You give me.
We have 2 of the MVPs from the Cager Classic with us tonight. Mikhail Allen from Valley High School. You come on up, along with Gia Richter of St. Joseph High School. Mikhail Allen, 2-year starter at Valley. He was MVP, as we just said, of the Cager Classic East All-Stars, MVP at the Leechburg Tournament. Mikhail was one of the most improved players in the AK Valley this year, and in the fall, he will be attending Lackawanna Junior College over in the Scranton-Wilkes-Barre area. Mikhail Allen. Gia Richter of St. Joseph, her team made the 2024 WPIAL Finals. This year they made it to the WPIAL Quarterfinals, and they made 2 BIAA appearances, including the first time St. Joseph ever won a state playoff game last year. She was a 100-point career scorer for the Spartans, and she was the MVP of the Cager Classic All-Stars, and won the 3-point shooting contest and the essay contest. 4-year varsity player for St. Joseph and team captain in the 11th and 12th grade seasons, and she's committed to Chatham University, where she will study human biology in the school's physician's assistant program. Gia Richter. During my 50 years of covering high school football locally, I was just so privileged to meet so many players, and one of those players will be a posthumous inductee this evening. Jamie Vick of Kiski Area High School, 3 sports star, went on to have a great college career. Unfortunately, we lost her at the young age of 28, but you can never forget, if you ever were around Jamie, that effervescent smile of hers and all that she radiated was just so tremendous, and I'm glad that I was able to cross paths with her. So to accept induction for Jamie Vick Moran, let's call on her father, Mr. David Vick.
Thank you, George. And thank you for all the words over the years for all of our kids, as you were so gracious to publish throughout the different news cycles that we always were anxiously looking for the day after the game. So thank you for that. I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame committee for this honor and congratulate all the other inductees as well. Congratulations on a great career and everything you've done. I also wanted to thank all of Jamie's coaches and mentors along the way. Tom Pipkins, her basketball coach, Megan Lucas, her soccer coach, and Kristen Zawacki, the coach that St. Vincent's was so gracious to bring the girls to later on in life. This is a tremendous honor that we, and I say we as my wife Debbie and I, together are speaking tonight to honor Jamie. I know, Jamie's a gifted speaker. She's had a number of occasions where she's had rooms like this, and I remember one particular occasion down in Pittsburgh. It was a breakfast of champions. There was 400 or 500 people there, and Ben Howland was actually the guest speaker, the Pitt's basketball coach. And Jamie had the room like this, and Ben, I remember seeing his face. He was over there with his hands, and tears were coming out of people's eyes because Jamie was very motivational and very sincere about everything she had to say. And when it was Ben's turn to get up and talk, he's like, what can I say? How do I follow someone like this? Jody is also, as well, you'll hear from Jody in a second. I asked to go before Jody because my part of this is going to be a little bit shorter, and Jody might have a couple more minutes that she'll need. So, but I know Jamie tonight is probably looking down and saying, oh no, Dad's going to mess this up. When they were little girls, my wife wanted to get them into dance, and we kind of talked them through that, and I really lobbied hard for sports, as a dad that wanted to be involved in all of that. I think that was one of the few battles in life that I actually won in our household. So thank you, Debbie, for letting them follow the path into sports and not into dance. I think that served us all well. This is the second time as a dad I've had the honor of speaking on Jamie's behalf. Not a day goes by that all of us in our family don't think about her, and we've chosen to honor her legacy and celebrate her life. Like a lot of successful athletes, Jamie excelled in a variety of sports. Soccer, softball, volleyball, and track and field, but basketball was her true love as a player. You could probably trace much of her success to having a 24/7, 365 teammate and practice partner who drove her to higher levels as well. There were other folks up here tonight that talked about the different games they would play in the backyard or the alley or wherever their arena was, and how their siblings pushed them so hard, and that was our family as well. A lot of Jamie's success was a result of her spirit, her passion, and her drive to be good at whatever sport that was in season. Jamie was a leader on whatever court or field she competed on. Being a devoted athlete gave her strength that she'd soon need. As a 9th grader, Jamie was diagnosed with leukemia. It was her attitude through the entire battle was one of strength and grace, though, that really helped her along the way. Jamie won a number of awards and honors, and one of the highlights for her was being considered for the Jimmy V Award. Jamie was a finalist, I think one of 4 nationally. The award is an annual award given to a member of the sports world who's overcome a significant obstacle. it's a testament to Jim Valvano's legacy of courage and perseverance, and Jamie is the epitome of the saying that goes along with that word of never give up. Jamie's teammates were a tremendous support system for her from the time of her diagnosis. I remember just being overwhelmed in the hospital, and they would all come, and it was, as a parent, just so such a loving moment to see these kids come in and have to gown up and wash their hands before they came in the room, because at that time Jamie couldn't be around any germs or anything. Today, many of them still show up at our annual golf outing that we have as volunteers or players. The golf outing is a main source of income for a foundation that we've created in Jamie's honor. Over the years, it's raised hundreds of thousands of dollars, and each year it awards a college scholarship to Kiski Area High School for a young female athlete. We've also, through some of Jamie and Jody's teammates, set up a scholarship for St. Vincent's College, too, for someone that needs some funds to get through their educational process. The foundation also gives back to Children's Hospital, Make-A-Wish, and the First Foundation, which was developed for Alan Toy, who many of you know. We also have found out through back channels of certain people throughout the community that need a little bit of help. So we, through the school and some of the outreach programs that we have, some of the funds from Jamie's foundation go to help out those kids in need as well. As a math teacher, Jamie was loved. She wanted to transfer the love of math to her students, and trying to keep it fun, she would have competitions for her young mathletes, something she was very proud of. Jamie was a great athlete and coach, but more importantly, she was a better life coach. She made those she played with, those she taught, and those she coached better students, athletes, and people. Jamie was loved by all that knew her, and her smile would definitely light up the room. I would like to thank again the Hall of Committee, the AK Hall of Fame Committee once more. Tonight's a very special honor that we'll cherish forever. So thank you all. Have a good night. Thank you very much.
And we also had 2 state swimming champions from the Alle-Kiski Valley this year. Both are from Freeport High School. If Kira Marie Schreckengoss and Isaac Barton would come on up. Kira has a 4.1 GPA at Freeport and is a member of the National Honor Society. Athletically, she was the PIAA champion this year in the 100 fly competition and 2025 individual medalist in the 200. Also 3-time WPIAL fly champion and WPIAL individual medalist in 200, and is the Freeport record holder in the 100 fly and the 200 medley. Freeport High School team captain, and she was honored recently by our friends up at the Armstrong County Hall of Fame. She has been awarded an athletic scholarship to Duquesne University, where she will major in athletic training and swim on the swim team. And she was the Butler Eagles' first ever female swimmer of the year award. She won multiple Athlete of the Week awards and the John F. Masarick AK Valley Swim Club award. She belongs to the Key Club and the National Honor Society, and she teaches swimming along with being a member of the Key Club and making cards for nursing homes, toys for tots, and canned food drives. And as I mentioned, she will be attending Duquesne University. Kira Schreckengoss. Next is Isaac Barton, who's making his mark in the Paralympic world. He competed in the Paralympic trials and has competed in the Paralympic Worlds and won gold medals in both the Para 50 and 100 free PIAA championships. where he competed this past season in both the WPIAL and PIAA. His hobbies, of course, are swimming, video games, and spending time with his friends and family, and he belongs to the Fox Chapel Killer Whales Swim Club. And Isaac plans to eventually attend a 4-year college and major in health sciences. From Freeport, Isaac Martin. And by the way, to emphasize what they've accomplished, Freeport doesn't have a pool. They got to practice at nearby schools, so they overcame that obstacle for success. Our final inductee of the evening, for only the second time in the 54 induction banquets we've had in the past, we had twins. Unfortunately, as we mentioned, Jamie not with us anymore, but her twin sister, Jody Vic McCartney, will be our final inductee of the evening. And Jody, also a spectacular athlete in her own right, has also coached Kiski area volleyball and has been very active in the school community, including foundation named after her sister. So let's call on Jody Vic McCartney.
Thanks, George. It's not lost that I'm the last one that's going to prevent you from going home tonight, but hopefully you'll find value in what I have to say. Thank you very much to the committee for honoring my sister and I. It's really hard to put into words what this honor means to be inducted together. Before anything else, I want to thank my parents for your love and support. You two are the foundation of everything that Jamie and I ever achieved. To my husband, Steve, thanks for always being by my side, and to our sons, SJ and Shane, being your mom is my greatest achievement. My family's here tonight as well. Thank you all for staying and being part of this moment. I could stand up here and talk about scoring 30 points or winning section titles or playing an NAIA national tournament, but those accomplishments don't define why I'm here. What shaped me most was understanding how the power of being part of a team can change your life. Jamie and I were teammates from the very beginning, literally out of the womb. We played volleyball and basketball at Kiski and later basketball at St. Vincent. We always knew each other's next move. After college, we coached together at Kiski, and despite the cancer battle that Jamie and Ellen went through, she never let cancer define her. She fought relentlessly not to just survive, but she returned to the sport that she loved. She inspired everyone, and her strength pushes me to lead with purpose, to persevere, and to love fiercely, just like she did. Years later, I took over the volleyball program at Kiski, and my mission became clear. Lead with heart, lift players up, make them feel like they're part of something bigger than themselves, all while chasing playoff runs. My teams made playoffs 3 of the 4 seasons that I was the head coach. My most formative moment as a high school athlete wasn't on the court, it was actually in the classroom. I was sitting in Mr. George Argros's geometry class, and it was the day after my sister was diagnosed for the first time with leukemia. As you can imagine, as a freshman in high school, that's a really scary thing to go through. Another teacher, Dean Ridgway, recognized that I was there because it was a game day, and I was a starter on the basketball team. He pulled me into the hallway during my geometry class, and I'll never forget what he said to me. He said that his wife had gone through her own battle with cancer, and that everything was going to be okay. I really didn't understand what that meant at 14 years old, but that moment did give me strength, the kind I now try to give back to my own students and players. The community of strength in the Kiski area followed us to St. Vincent, where Coach Kristen Zalacki welcomed us like family. The summer before our senior year, well, it would have been Jamie's junior year because she missed her junior year because of her second battle with leukemia. We were training really hard to get back in shape. After our first workout back in college, our coach said nothing to her. The coach said something to me. She said, "Jody, you're in the best shape of your life. What happened?" Now this is my senior year, I'm coming in a 3-year starter, but what happened was I was chasing Jamie's determination, and in doing so, I'm the one that became a better athlete and a stronger person. So that season, my senior year, anytime I wasn't giving my best as a starter on the team, Coach would sub me out for Jamie. And it infuriated me at the time, but I realized it was her way of reminding me to dig deeper and to never take life or the game for granted. To the young athletes, if they're still here, I think most of them left by now. Someday your stats will fade and your trophies will gather dust, but who you are as a teammate and a person will always matter more. Surround yourself with people who lift you up. Be remembered for your points and for your heart. And when the games are over, the most important team you'll ever build is the one you create in life. For me, that team is my family. Thank you to everyone who made this moment possible, and thank you to Jamie for showing me what true strength looks like.
Before the benediction, I want to thank again everyone for coming. I want to remind you, if you notice in the program, save the date. We will be back here at the Shriner Center on Saturday, May 16th, 2026. We hope you'll all be back to join us, as we will have 8 more inductees and 2 more teams to induct into the Alle-Kiski Valley Sports Hall of Fame. To conclude tonight's event, I call on our chairman again, Larry Lutz, for the benediction.
How about a great hand for the face of Alle-Kiski sports for many, many years, our MC, Joe China. Thanks everybody so much for your attendance, and thanks and congratulations to all the inductees. God bless everyone. Have a safe trip home. Good night.